Tomando el presidente Trump y una reconfiguración al parecer del mapa global.
Okay, we're going to start this about the global situation, speaking about these new trends, about the emergence of Trump's policy, and in general the global opinion about the world situation.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is the issue that everyone is thinking about.
Que estamos todos pensando.
I guess. I come from Europe. I have a bit of a European perspective. As I have told the team, Europe feels a bit lonely at the moment. We have the Russians sort of attacking a neighboring country. China is a competitor in many ways. We used to be able to trust the Americans to have our backs, and they've been responsible for our security since the Second World War, basically. And now it seems that they are not prepared to have that role anymore. So the question is how Europe reacts to this. My take is that you can take the optimistic take, or you can be a bit more pessimistic.
Optimista o la no tan optimista.
And the optimistic take is that Europe gets its act together and realize that we have to step up, we have to improve our economy, we have to invest more in our own security and defense.
Que tenemos que tomar desde el punto de vista optimista, ser partes socios y mejorar nuestra situación y progreso económico también.
And there are lots of evidence that that's happening, I think. There is a proposal that we will spend 800 billion euros on defense. The Germans have opened up their debt break. The UK, who left us some years ago, are coming back to discuss defense. On the other hand, European decision making is slow. 27 member states in the EU. There are lots of hurdles to overcome still. So I think the jury is still out to see where we are. But I should add as well that when we are lonely, I think this is a great opportunity for Europe to cooperate more with Latin America.
Es una gran oportunidad para Europa de cooperar a Latinoamérica.
We have discussed the Mercosur trade deal for decades. There is a deal on the table. There are still some European countries who are not so keen to sign. But I think, given the changes in the world, we really have to step up and sign this deal. Start trading more between Europe and Latin America.
Bueno, Donald Trump ha comenzado a aplicar algunos aranceles, 25% y 20% para algunos países. ¿Qué implica eso en términos del propio intercambio comercial global?
What does it mean to the international trade?
I mean, right now it means lots of uncertainty. Because he talks about the tariffs, and then the next day he says, let's wait another month. I think companies don't know what's going to happen. And the big risk of that is that when companies cannot predict the future, they stop investing, they stop taking contacts. So I think there is a big risk to the global economy. If companies come into a wait-and-see position. I mean, we see that from our perspective a bit as well. That on the one hand, this gives lots of opportunities for consultants because everyone wants to figure out what's going on. On the other hand, the wait-and-see approach is there. So companies are a bit afraid to take the step. I think the shocking thing here is that Trump attacks his normal sort of American enemies, but also his friends.
Sí, ataca no solo a sus amigos, sino a sus amigos.
Yes.
Casa Mexican.
Yeah, and I think if you're sort of a traditional competitor to America, the change is not that big.
El cambio no es
But
tan
if you're a
importante.
traditional friend to America,
Pero si
this is
somos
the-
amigos
this is the shocking
tradicionales
thing.
de Estados Unidos, esto es chocante.
And we have it in Europe. I mean, Mexico, Canada, most obviously. So
La forma como está encarándose la guerra en Ucrania, la posibilidad de una tregua, todo lo que hemos visto de las tensiones de Zelensky con el propio Trump, ¿cómo lo ve Europa?
yeah,
How Europe look at this.
yeah. I mean, this is. I would argue that this is the most important question for
Yo
Europe.
diría que es lo más importante ahorita para Europa.
There is a bit of difference if you come from the Nordic countries close to Russia, or if you come from
Hay una situación diferente para los países
Iberia,
del norte,
far away from Russia.
con más abajo, con,
But I think
con Rusia.
Europe has been amazingly united here. I think we have 16 sanction package over 3 years.
16 medidas de sanciones para Rusia.
There is a big worry in Europe that the US don't understand
Estados Unidos no
the
entiende
situation.
esa situación.
And we have heard from some of the American key people saying that they trust Putin.
Dirigentes que debemos confiar en
We
Putin.
don't sense that. That's
Y
not,
nosotros no sentimos eso,
not a good thing.
lo que piensan algunos dirigentes americanos.
I think the worst situation would be if the Americans and the Russians agree about something that Ukraine don't agree with,
Claro,
and
sería
Europe don't agree.
que Estados Unidos y Rusia se acuerden algo que Ucrania no esté de acuerdo,
Yeah. And the Americans then withdraw from the support.
que retiren todo el apoyo de los americanos,
And I think there is a willingness in Europe to
que hay una
support
voluntad y
Ukraine
deseo
more.
de apoyar a
The
Ucrania más.
question is if we have the capacity.
La cuestión es saber ver si
Yeah.
seremos capaces de hacerlo.
The jury is still out.
Ahora, en ese contexto mundial de cambios,
Context of changes,
¿qué deben hacer las empresas?
what should the enterprise would do?
Exactly. It's a very good question. Very good.
That's
No, but I think companies have to
las compañías
they have to keep track of what's going on.
tienen que mantener
The understanding of what's going on,
para entender
different
qué está
scenarios,
pasando en
scenario
distintos
planning,
escenarios.
be prepared for the worst, I
Para lo
guess.
peor.
And then it very much depends. I mean, how dependent they are on the U.S. market, for example,
Cómo está el mercado americano
or imports from the U.S.
o
we
las
see
exportaciones de Estados Unidos.
one good it's every time we move into a trade war, the first industry in Europe to react is always the alcohol industry.
La primera
Wine and
industria que
spirits.
es la de alcohol,
And they are very active
bebidas
now,
alcohólicas,
saying that please do not put the tariff on
no
American bourbon,
pongan tarifas a
because then
estos
the
productos,
Americans will put the tariff on us.
porque si no nosotros
They are
esos
dependent on
productos también.
the American market. But I mean, we saw the same when we had some issues with China,
Con China también lo mismo.
because this is such a, I mean, it's a symbolic industry for Europe.
Es una industria simbólica para Europa, todo lo que es las bebidas alcohol, vino, whiskies.
And then, so it's both sort of the big geopolitical, the big movements, and then it's the trade policy. And
Una
the
parte de
trade
la
policies,
geopolítica y la otra de las políticas comerciales.
trade policy is both sort of geopolitics, but then it's very technical.
Son muy técnicas ambas.
And you have to master the technicalities.
Tenemos que
of
dominar
trade
esas
policy.
técnicas
Um,
del comercio exterior, you know,
at the same time as you,
pero al mismo tiempo
yeah, look at your own supply chains. And
tienes que ver tus cadenas de suministros.
I think the more I'm very much in favor of companies, industry having a close relationship with government.
De que las relaciones tengan más relaciones con el gobierno.
And both companies and governments have to realize that this dialogue is very important.
Tienen que desarrollar ese estilo de relación.
And it doesn't mean that governments have to do what business tell them.
No quiere decir que los gobiernos hagan lo que hacen las empresas.
They should be interested in what business
pero los gobiernos deben estar interesados en los negocios que hacen las empresas.
And again, I mean, coming with a very European perspective, we are very, very worried.
Estamos muy preocupados.
But then I read an interview with the Indian foreign minister who was asked that, and he said, we didn't really like the old world order.
Nos gusta, para los indios está muy bien.
Maybe that was great for Europe and the US, maybe not so great for the rest of the world.
Pero
I think we Europeans have to sometimes remind ourselves that
tenemos que acordarnos de muchas cosas.
We are not the center of the world as we
ya no somos el centro del mundo,
as we believe
o creemos,
as we maybe were.
Tal vez fuimos.
I think the worry is that the Americans have some kind of sphere of influence thinking.
Muchas influencias.
It's sort of going back to the Cold War, when the Soviets controlled that part of the world and the Americans controlled that part of the world.
La Guerra Fría está quedando atrás con la división de la influencia.
If the Americans go back to that and say, okay, China, you can control Asia, Russia, you can control Europe, and then we take the rest. First, it would be very strange because the European economy is, I think it's 17 times bigger than the Russian. So at the same time, I mean, if this is happening, Europe really has to stand up and say stop. If you look at Europe as one single market, it is the biggest market in the world. And sometimes Europe we tend to forget about that.
En esta nueva realidad, ¿cuál es la situación de América Latina y qué oportunidades tiene América Latina?
In this new situation, what is the perspectives of Latin America?
Yeah, but I to come back, I really think that Europe and Latin America should try to find each other. But I mean, coming from Peru yesterday, it's clear that the Chinese are several steps ahead. Yes, and I mean with trade, with the mining industry, with the big port. We asked one of the big telecom, or I asked, since I'm Swedish, if they are sort of doing business with Ericsson. He said, they switched to Huawei because Huawei was offered a half price. So again, I'd like to be optimistic, but sometimes it's difficult. Because it might be that Europe is too late. So uphill is big. That's no reason to not try. And the first step is to sign the start implementing Mercosur. We do have a free trade agreement with Chile that has been renewed. And I mean, more economic coordination and integration is, to me, is the obvious step. Some people don't think it's